Hello, this is GOSU. Today I wanted to talk about Siege in Rise of Kingdoms. I know today there's a lot of content creators making a video about the King Arthur as his skills are released. I do think King Arthur is gonna be a sick cav commander, but today I want it to be a little bit different and kind of talk about Siege. I do know that the commander swap is probably coming later this month, and I know a lot of people are considering investing in Siege by commander swapping. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Siege, and I wanted to give you guys my experience using the Siege March, so that you guys are better informed about what you're getting into. So to talk a little bit about my Siege March, let's go into equipment. This is pretty decent, and I also want to show you guys my armament. I got lucky with the bloody bolt there, but this is from the sharpshooter is from the KVK win. And the other ones I got pretty lucky with. Assertive, I think, is a great inscription for this slot, and I was able to get it through the what do you call it? This thing, inscription shard chest. I got it assertive, and I put it on my Siege. So let's talk about the advantages of Siege March. To basically sum it up, I think the Siege March is overpowered in certain situations where they can be basically stationary. Like if they are in one spot and they are able to attack for a long time, that's when they are really overpowered. So like, if you stay in one spot, you are able to attack for a long time. That's the best case scenario for Siege. So let's think about some examples. One of the example is in the altar kind of situation. You know, in altars you can only field like one march, and there's usually like a battle in one spot, and usually doesn't move around a lot, so the Siege March can kind of stay in one spot and continue to attack for a long time, and this is a good situation for the Siege March. And the other scenario where the Siege March is really great is in a like a big mortar ball fight kind of scenario where, you know, you often see like a big Imperium kingdoms, like they are like bunch of armies that causes lag, are clashing into one another, and usually in those kind of situations the fight is usually stationary, so you can just kind of sit back and kind of attack from the back. So those are, I think, the two best kind of situations where I think the Siege is very overpowered at. And also the other, I guess the third kind of scenario is like in the where you fight along the river. Like let's say if your opponent is on this upper side and then you guys are fighting from the bottom, you can just put your march near the river, and then you can shoot without getting attacked. But this situation is very rare, so I do not consider that as much when you're thinking about Siege. So what's the disadvantage of the Siege March? So the main disadvantage I can see is show you right here. Yeah. So this is the biggest problem that Siege March has. You have to wait 7 seconds to attack and kind of put into a position. And also, look at this. When you try to escape from the enemy, it takes 8 seconds. So the mobility is the biggest issue that Siege March has, you know. So in a situation where there is a lot of like a back and forth movement in the field, Siege March is basically useless. You cannot use it. So what are some examples of that? Like, let's say there's a lot of small skirmishes. Like I talked about, like big mortar ball fights earlier. That's great for siege. But like if you guys are losing, like let's say I'm losing the field, like we're losing badly, and we have to city hop or something like that, you know, and like there's a lot of movement back and forth. They're gonna run over your city, they're gonna go all over the place, and your siege march just kind of like, you try to set up the siege and then they kind of run over you, and you try to disengage the siege and then they kind of run over you. So it's not good in those kind of situations. And what are the other examples? Ark of Osiris, I think. In Ark of Osiris, there's a lot of movement. You have to be back and forth, grabbing the ark, like getting into some other objectives and things like that. It's very fast paced, so it's not good for Ark of Osiris. I think those two are the biggest disadvantages kind of situation, where the siege march is basically not used. Also, the siege march is useless in like a lot of events. Like let's see, like I mean in Golden Kingdom it's okay, but like what is it, like Ceroli crisis and those kind of open march kind of situation where you need to move a lot. Even during the events, the siege march is not as good. Not good at all, basically. So there's a lot of disadvantages in siege march. So what I would say the ideal setup for the siege march is that you just want to have like 1 or 2 marches at max to basically supplement your open field. I don't think it's a good idea to go for purely all in like siege march, like you're a siege main kind of thing. I think that's terrible. But I do think it's reasonable, and I do think it's quite powerful to have like 1 or 2 siege marches to supplement your open field, because whenever your siege march can be used, it is very overpowered, and it can be a fun thing to do in Rise of Kingdoms, to kind of sit back and gain a lot of kill points in those kind of situations. But I do want to remind you that, you know, in certain cases you cannot use siege at all. So like if you're losing the KVK, like you're gonna be in a very, very bad spot, because if you're losing, like the pace of the battle is dictated by the winning side, and then there's gonna be a lot of movement, and you're not gonna be able to set up your siege march at all. So as far as the commander choices, I know there's a couple of new siege commanders that came out. I do not know much about them, so I'm not gonna talk about them. And as far as the epic siege commanders go, I don't think they are very good. I would not use epic siege commanders if you can avoid them. Ideally, you wanna go for the Gaja and Cordova as a single siege march. The thing about the Gaja, that's great is that it has a healing factor on his skill. You see right here is there's a mighty heal here, and also on his talent there's a healing on his talent tree, medicinal supplies. So the Gaja can sustain, like it has a crazy amount of sustain in the open field. Basically I can just set up Gaja and Cordova on the open field, and because of healing I don't ever have to like retreat unless like I get attacked or something. I mean, not never, but I don't have to retreat for a very long time using this combo. But I think the more than Gaja, the Cordova is the commander to get in Siege March because it just has a lot of damage factor, a lot of stats, and especially the expertise skill is very overpowered in my opinion. It deals 15% more ranged normal damage, and what Cordova does is a smite damage. So basically this is like 15% all damage for Cordova. So Cordova Gaja I think is the pair to go for. The new commanders I'm not too sure about. I think they are skill based, so I don't think commanders, so I don't think there's like a crazy synergy with Cordova. So I think that's what you want to go for, Cordova Gaja for now. And Gaja you can get it from the dailies, so I maxed Gaja using the dailies. And if you really want to use commander swap for the Siege March, I would use it on Cordova if you haven't put any skill into it, but ideally you want to use it on open field commanders like Luce or Ragnarok Prime or the King Arthur if you're able to. Ideally you want to use the commander swap on those commanders, and kinda for Cordova you can just work on it slowly. So why do a lot of players, like especially the content creators, do not want to go for Siege March despite it being great in certain situations? The main issue is that it is very costly to go for a siege. It costs a lot to invest in new commander, new equipment, new armament type. As I spoke earlier, the Siege March is very, very overpowered in certain situations where there's a lot of stationary fights, but very underpowered in a situation where there's a lot of movement in the field. So for content creators, they are usually like high-end, top-level players where they want to be good at every kind of situations, like open field, rally garrison, Osiris League. Whenever they're losing, whenever they're winning, they want to be using the marches that are effective in all kinds of situations. And Siege March, I have to admit, is very good in certain situations, but very bad in the other types. So that's why I want you guys to be really careful when you go for a Siege March and you all in on Siege, because if you go into a KVK expecting to just pew like gain kill points crazy, if you think that's gonna happen all the time, that's not gonna be the case. I mean, the Siege March will be good in Altar, but Altar you really don't gain that much kill points, and in open field, like especially if you're in a smaller kingdom, like you're not gonna have that many stationary battles, so it's gonna be a lot of skirmishes going on, especially in the smaller kingdoms, and the Siege March will not be as good in those kind of situations. So I think Siege March is probably better for like a big kingdoms, Imperial Kingdom, where you're guaranteed to have like big battles in the open field. So I would caution you against going siege if you're all inning. But if you just want to have fun, you want to have some, overpowered march in, some of these situations, I think siege is a great way to go. So I think that's basically the pros and cons of Siege March, and I basically went over the basics of Siege. Let me know if you guys have any question down below, and like and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so I appreciate you guys. Thank you.